Hey everybody, Coach Toolshed here, and in today's video we're going to be discussing the most divisive game of all time, Death Stranding. But I'm not going to give you my opinion today whether or not I think the game is a masterpiece or whether or not I think it's the worst game I've ever played. The purpose today is not to give you my opinion. What I'm going to be doing is telling you what exactly this game is, telling you some of the stuff you're going to actually be doing, and at its core, fundamentally, what type of genre this game is. People try to say that you can't define what genre it is, but in the video, I'm going to explain over time what exactly this game is. Let's just jump right into it. So right off the bat, everyone knows what the big issue is with this game. You have the people on one side who say, this just looks like a walking simulator. You're just trying to walk around in a pretty barren open world, doing not much of anything but trying to avoid enemies and carry luggage from one spot to another. And yes, at its core, that is the gameplay loop that you're doing. But the reason why that becomes somewhat interesting and what keeps people going isn't just trekking stuff from point A to point B. Obviously, over time, that's going to get really boring really quickly. But the reason why people are putting so much time into it is because of the metagame. What you do is, over time, and with the help of other people in an online community, what's going to happen is you will see different paths opening up. You will see other people putting ladders and ropes for you to climb at first. And then that will quickly move on to people putting bridges for you to climb over big, giant chasms or over deep rivers that you otherwise won't be able to cross safely. And then that will turn into, you'll see a lot of different dirt roads being built from one spot to another, so you can easily find the safest and quickest path from point A to point B. And as time goes on, you will see full roads being built, and you'll get access to vehicles, and you will everyone playing the game will be collaborating in building this out. So you are just all part of a community trying to build one gigantic base that will span from the east to the west coast of America. Now, when I say you're part of a community, you're not playing with other people. You're only going to see the stuff that they've built out in the world. If you wanted to play totally offline, you do have that option, but then things were going to go a lot slower for you. You won't have as much building material out there on your own. You're going to have to do everything yourself, and it's going to take a lot longer to get roads built, to get generators built, whatever. It will just increase the total length of your playtime. If you wanted to do that, you could absolutely do that and probably play the game for 4 to 5 times longer than you normally would. However, if you want to play the way the game is meant to be played, definitely it's meant to be played online so that everyone's contributing to building out the roads. That way things are happening in a matter of hours and not, dozens of hours, which it would take you to do on your own if you were shuttling building material back and forth yourself. It's not the way the game is designed. You can do that if you want. I wouldn't recommend it. And the thing about what you're doing when you're building all this stuff out, you don't have to go out of your way to do it. It's stuff that you're doing as you're doing your missions. You're going to put a ladder up to help you climb, and then that's there for someone else to use later. You're doing it as you go. You don't have to split the game up into, okay, now I'm doing this, now I'm doing that. No, you're doing it all at the same time. But what's the basic mission structure? Well, let's take a quick look. What are you going to be doing when you're out in the world aside from doing the building? Well, there's a couple of different sequences that you're going to come across. And aside from the open world natural dangers that you're going to have to worry about, like deep water or falling off of a cliff or trying to climb a mountain and then losing your balance and sliding down the face of it, aside from stuff like that, you're going to have a couple of different enemy types that you're going to have to deal with. The first is something called a mule. Now, these are groups of people that are out to get your cargo no matter what. If you cross into their territory, they're going to start sending out hunting parties looking for you. Now, there's a couple of different ways to know. First, if you go into a zone pretty quickly, you're going to see yourself getting scanned. That's a surefire way to tell that they're coming after you. Another way to tell, there's going to be markers on your map if you've unlocked the outpost and you've connected that outpost in that region to the overall network. You'll be able to see exactly on your map where these regions are located. You can avoid them if you want to. Sometimes you'll have to go into these locations specifically and right into the center of their camps in order to get some cargo. Go in, whether you want to sneak in or go in and sort of more commando style, you do have the option. You can take out the enemies and then get the cargo and get out. You have that option if you want to. And then you take the stuff back to your base that way. Another way you can tell if you're coming across one of these bases, there'll be these little yellow markers in the ground, and these will signal the barrier of where these people are located. So you can avoid them at all costs if you want, except for certain story-based missions where you're going to have to go in and retrieve some cargo. The other type of enemy is entirely different, and it's more what the game is based around. It's more what they sold the game on. These are called BTs. And the first way you're going to know that you've come into one of these zones is you're going to see some rain start coming in, and it's going to start raining. First thing your character is going to do is going to pull up the hood on his coat to protect himself from the rain. This is for story reasons. I'm not going to get into it. But that's the first thing you're going to notice. If you keep going deeper and deeper into the rain will then start turning black, and it will show you another quick cut scene of the rain getting darker, and then the skies will get dark, and then you'll know that the next step is these ghostly figures are going to start appearing. Now, at first, all you can really do is try to avoid them. You can try to crouch walk and move slowly past them. You'll have some sensor on you that will flash when they're nearby. It will flash orange and start spinning really fast. That's when you know they're right above you. You can hold your breath, try to creep by them. Later on, and as you upgrade more stuff, as you unlock new people through your network, they will give you better gear, and you will be able to fight them off to a certain degree. I'm not going to spoil what... Well, I suppose you can see it right on screen. But you'll get other weapons beside that to deal with these enemies over time. Now, while both of these situations can be tense because they're presented pretty well, they're really not as dangerous as they may seem. You can take out a group of the human enemies with your bare hands pretty easily, and you will have different weapons that, well, again, you'll unlock as you go, and you can get upgrades for those over time. The other enemies, relatively easy to avoid once you figure out what to do. It was a little bit tedious at first, but now I can kind of zip through the areas a lot quicker, and I don't really have to worry about them too much. And if you're properly equipped, you can kind of just buzz right through where you need to be. They don't really pose a huge threat. Now, I have come across a boss fight or two, or what would constitute a boss fight in a game like this, in a Kojima game especially. It's not like technically a fight, but it's a different type of enemy that you're going to run into, and it's definitely a staged boss type event. So just be aware that it's not all this type of enemies, but this is 99% of the game. Now, I can understand totally why people would look at this and say, this looks boring as hell, all you're doing is running around. But like I said, it's really the strategy and the overall metagame that keeps you going throughout the game. Again, I don't want to give my overall opinion about the game. This is not meant to be a review. This is just a quick video. I wanted to clear up some stuff because I see a lot of descriptions of this game. I see a lot of reviews like, I've played the game and I still can't describe it. What? And by the way, the story is not as dense or confusing as people are trying to make it out to be. It's actually relatively straightforward. I don't want to get into spoilers here, and I don't want to really critique it right now because I've only played about 20-25 hours of the game so far, so I still have a lot of chapters to go. But the basic gameplay structure is what I want to describe here. And really, it's all about getting the upgrades. It's all about connecting the network and helping other people build out your base. It is one giant base. And if you think of it like that, that will sort of clue you in, because that's a very popular genre. And that's something where people can absolutely get addicted to. So when you see people trying to defend the game, and they're like, no, man, I'm addicted, I can't stop playing. And people are like, arguing with them, saying, how can you play this game? It looks so boring. Well, there's a reason why. It's ticking that certain box for people that will be really into building out bases and stuff like that. That's at its core what's really going on here. You're just making one gigantic one that spreads from coast to coast. And if you actually think back to Kojima's last game, which would be Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, think about the metagame in that. Sure, you had the main story, you had the main maps where you're going around to the bases and doing your different missions and your side missions and whatnot. But what were you doing behind the scenes? Well, you were attaching those stupid balloons to everything you could, grabbing everything in sight, tanks, specialists, whatever, and you were sending them back to your mother base to build out your overall giant base. Now, what he's done here is a very similar thing, except instead of having one solitary base, you're just building out an entire country. So people who have been confused about it, that is what the game is at its core. If you think about it like that, I think you'll have a much better understanding about what the core gameplay is and why some people are getting addicted to it, because obviously that's a popular genre that can absolutely tick that sort of OCD box, like, oh, I can keep building. And the fact that there's also that social feedback loop where people, NPCs in the game, and whenever you deliver a package, and people out in the real world can leave little likes for you for whatever you built. Like, you build a structure, oh, they liked it. Oh, you delivered a package, oh, they like that. This sort of social feedback loop, that also plays a lot into it. We all know how addictive getting likes can be, and this game feeds into that directly as well. You get your scorecard at the end of each mission, all the little dopamine hits like, I did this, I did this. It's all contributing. So when people are saying, I've already sunk 20, 30 hours into the game and I'm totally addicted, I just explained to you what systems are in play and why that sort of thing is going on. It's not at all it's not because people are having a ton of fun just walking across a map trying to balance stuff. It's the metagame that's causing people to really enjoy the game. Anyway, that's it from me, Coach Toolshed. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Please subscribe if you want to stay in tune with the channel head forward. And as always, keep it turned to 11. Let me know if you're playing the game and what you think about it. Do you think I'm way off base here? Let me know.